I'm Dani. Today I'll be sharing with you my top 10 favorite performances from the Miss Universe Philippines 2023 press swimsuit presentation. If you love the channel, please don't forget to support it. It would mean so much to me. Just hit that notifications bell, share the episode with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. And you can also shop in the merch store or join memberships if you want access to the extended cut of this episode and so much more. Is it just me, or are these some of the best walks that we've seen collectively from a group of national contestants in a long time? I'm blown away. Honestly, I'm absolutely blown away. To have this many contestants that walk so well, this is ruining all of my predictions. All of them. They've just gone out the window because a lot of the ladies that I may have not noticed during the photo shoot challenges, now they look phenomenal on stage. So what do I do with that? What do I do with that? Just throw out the photogenic images, forget about it, and just go like, this is just who looks fantastic. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna share about my top 10 in no particular order. Southern Leyte. The way that I felt about her was pretty much how I felt about Sorsogon. Again, I was like, when is something gonna go wrong? And it just didn't. It didn't go wrong. I just felt like Sorsogon had a slightly upper hand when it came to facials, but not so much to the point where it would really matter at a final. Like, they would both get a great score, and then I would obviously be relying a lot more on their interview skills. Like, that's really what would be the tiebreaker, but not something like that. She just, wow. Aklan, wow, how was this just so different from her other press presentation when she wore the floral dress when they were all indoors? How? I don't understand. I have to say, her side pose on the runway, a lot of the contestants decided to do like a little pose in the middle of the runway, but that side pose was so perfectly timed with a planned hair toss. My only thing is, I would say to soften the facial expressions just a little bit. I think she looked amazing. The walk was there, the posing was there, the posture was there, the timing was there. I just wanted a little bit more of just like a grin, like something more behind the eyes. Like, she looks stunning, okay? But here's the thing. I think that this performance would have been absolute perfection if this was a real swimsuit fashion show. If that was the case, then she just sold me that swimsuit, but it's not, it's a pageant. And so because it's not just about the clothing, we really got to think about like, okay, I'm drawing the attention to myself, and how can I do that? I can do that through use of my facial expressions. Still in my top 10, but I would make those changes before the preliminary competition. Zambales, okay. The opening spin, turn, and pose, I was like, girl, you don't need to show off, okay? All right, you don't need to show off. But the way that she was able to circle her sash, she was giving Latina. That's what she was giving, Latina. I was like, oh my gosh, this was just fun to watch, okay? Now, I'm telling you though, still, same note for Zambales as Baguio. Pull back a little bit, just a little bit. We know you have amazing runway skills. We can see that. This isn't Miss Grand International though, where you're gonna use all of these things. Like, just because you have these skills and can do these things doesn't always mean that we should use them. And having that discernment is how contestants are able to successfully transition between different pageant systems. Because you can like have all the tricks in the world, but if you're using them in the wrong competitions for the wrong systems, you're not gonna win. It's just not gonna happen. I want you to think about this. Think about like the last 10 years of Miss Universe winners. Like, yes, they've always had like a moment, like something really cool that they did on stage, but it's always been subtle. It's always been quite subtle, all right? Like, think this year. I remember the moment when I saw Arbany live was she walk on stage and she did this little like side look and grin to the camera, and I was like, oh, that right there. Think about Pia, right? When she did her turn in her evening gown and she went from that smize to that smile, right there, all right? Obviously Catriona in swim, that lava walk, that turn was special, right? But it's like they only had one of those special things per performance. You know, you don't need like the spin turn and the facial expression and the pivot and whatever. It all ends up being too much. So you really got to pick, it's like, okay, what's the thing that I do best that I feel confident with? And how can I use that thing to enhance the performance? And honestly, I feel like that's a distinction between universe and between systems like Grand, for example. And I use Grand a lot as an example because it's more of an extreme and I want you to be able to see that visually. At Grand, it's like you can throw in all the bells and whistles and you could do it at the beginning, middle, and end of your performance and while you're exiting. But at Universe, it's not quite like that. So I want contestants to be aware of that distinction. Listen up, if you're preparing for a competition, if you feel lost, if you feel like you don't have direction, then please sign up for my free pageant prep course. I share so many resources there and they're all nicely organized and they will be sent right to your inbox and they're all free. So just take advantage of that. Click the link in the description. Agusan del Norte. I'm so upset that my connection or my computer, or for some reason this was blurry, or maybe this was the edit, I don't know. But regardless of the blur, she still looked phenomenal to me. And I loved it. I loved the energy. I loved the posing. Everything. And it really got me excited. And since she went first in the competition, I was like, wow, what a strong way to kick everything off. I love that. Surigal del Norte. So she was the other contestant that came up a little bit too far on the stage. Ladies, pay attention to direction, all right? So I wouldn't like deduct a lot of points for that though. It probably, if any, probably wouldn't deduct any because, okay? The wind in the hair, the energy, the powerful pivot turns, it was there. She was giving what she needed to give. She did it. She literally did it. Another one of my top scores. Cavite, okay, same thing that we've been seeing with a lot of contestants. Ladies, those direction changes, I know they are tough, okay? But just make sure that whatever direction that you pick, that like you're intentional about it. But I will say that, oh my gosh, her pose at the end of the runway, all right, like her open leg pose, her closed leg pose, with her, you cannot deny the fitness and the face, okay? That is the thing about her. Both poses were absolute fire. That's the only like way I can describe it, but she was hot. She was hot. And I really loved it. Sorsogon, oh my gosh, I was in a trance watching her. It started out really strong, okay? Also, great color on her. She looked fantastic. Even the bun, I was like, wow, okay. And I mean, I didn't really expect a bun for swim, but it was working for her. She was just nailing everything and really kept me engaged. And I remember like, cause it was going just so well at the beginning that I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, like when am I gonna say something? When am I gonna say something that we can adjust, that can be improved? And we didn't get there. We didn't get there. I was just rooting for her the whole time. And I was like, this right here is one of my top performances, like easily in my top 5. And I loved it. She just didn't do anything that like drew from her, that distracted from her. Like everything she did was helping her. Everything that she did was enhancing things for her and making the performance better. And I was like, I have nothing but good things to say. As a little side note, I just want to say, ladies, just to make sure that you stay centered on the runway. It's so important. Just like keep practicing at home, walking in that straight line versus like kind of veering on and off of it or kind of swerving, especially if you're going to do any kind of pose, spin turn, whatever it is. Make sure that you continue to stay on that line and don't veer from it. Whenever I see contestants kind of like go off one way and then they have to recenter themselves, it just reminds me of somebody failing a sobriety test, right? Like they're out there and they're just kind of falling over a little bit. I think of that every single time. So what's really important is if you're going to be doing a spin turn or a pivot, a lot of contestants, I notice that they get really thrown off because they're over pivoting or they're over turning. So one thing that you can do is actually tell yourself you're going to do less. So like, let's say that you want to do a full turn, tell yourself, I'm actually only trying to do a half turn. So if you're thinking about that half turn while you're doing the full turn, you're actually more likely to just finish straight and keep going straight if overturning has been an issue for you. It also works on the opposite. So if you're not getting around all the way, instead of thinking, oh, I want to do a full turn, think I'm trying to do a full turn and a half, or a full pivot or a full pivot and a half. Makati. Okay, why was this so much better, in my opinion, than the other press presentation where she was on stage in her yellow dress? It was like, okay, well, now she's on. Like, now she turned it on. She looked like a pro. She just looked like a professional runway model. Now, she did lose her balance a little bit in her posing, but I'm wondering if that had anything to do with the texture of the stage, because I noticed that consistently throughout this show. There were quite a few contestants that, you know, when they were doing a spin turn or a pivot or when they were posing, it kind of almost seemed like their feet were getting stuck. So I don't know if the staging in combination with the shoes had too much grip and it was tripping up the contestants. It kind of seemed like that's what was happening to a lot of them because I kept seeing it over and over. But I will say, like, that was such a small, subtle thing. She caught herself. She didn't really like lose her balance. And she was just walking like a model that has nothing to prove. And I liked it. I liked the attitude. Occidental Mindoro. Wow, what an amazing surprise. So, first of all, just don't touch your sash. That's a lesson for all of us. But what a solid walk. Okay, and she hit every single pose. And after she hit every single pose, she even gave us a little back look. Okay, like she was doing it. She was really, really doing it. And performances like these, they're ruining all of my predictions. Okay, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I love the surprises. I want them to keep coming, but now I don't know what to do for episodes. So we'll figure it out. Okay. Wow. All right. The energy was on point. When she walked out, I was not even expecting that type of energy, and she brought it. The straight hair looked really, really beautiful on her. She just looked great. She looked fit. The walk was there. Everything was clean. The one thing I was surprised is that she didn't smile as much. Like, I think she looked so hot going down the runway. But then when she got to the end, I wish she would have given us a smile for a little bit longer, just because one of the things about her that I think that she does so well is, like, when she smiles, it looks very genuine. So she knows how to smile through her eyes, right? So I wish we would have seen just a little bit more of that at the end of the runway, because this is swimsuit. It's more fun. Bambanga. Okay, this entire performance, it was like very signature for her. It was like subtle and sexy, not too sexy. She had great hair flips. The walk was there. I loved it. Like, the face just kept me engaged, and she's just really good at facials. It's probably why I like all of her images. Like, I just love her face and her images, and I'm excited for her because now that is carrying across for onstage competitions. And that doesn't always happen, but it's very exciting. Baguio. She had a slightly rough opening with that entrance, but she picked it right up, okay? And the thing about her is, like, red looked fantastic on her. Okay, I'm wondering if she's gonna wear red for prelims or for finals. She's really working it in red. A lot of people are talking about how they're like oohs and ahs about her walk, and yes, I agree, but I still think that she needs to pull back just a little bit, because this is like a preliminary for Miss Universe, not for Miss Grand International. And I feel like grand contestants can be a little bit more dramatic, and they can over exaggerate walks, arms, hips, all of those things. But Universe is just like a little bit more pulled in. So I think that she has everything, and she's stunning, like she has everything. She has all the things, right? But I would still pull it all in a little bit. Like, really be careful of the arm movements, not letting them fly out, not letting the arms swing in the front of the thighs, keeping them on the side. So because all of those little things, they add up in a competition. But I don't care. I love her though. Those were my top 10 favorites from this swimsuit performance. What did you think? Tell me about your favorites. Let me know what your thoughts are, but of course, let's keep them encouraging and respectful. Let's be examples of an encouraging community. Thank you though for tuning into this episode. I hope that you remember to subscribe before you leave, before you click that exit button, and also that you'll check out these other recent episodes that I've created for coverage of Miss Universe Philippines 2023. And if you want to see any other pageants covered on the channel, let me know. Let me hear in the comment section below. I'm always listening and looking for new ideas. But I appreciate you tuning into this episode. I hope that you really check out those other recent ones. Aside from that, I will see you next time.